Says the Holy Alter Rebbe, page Daled of Parshas Vayikra, we are learning the Biur Hadvarim Anal, the explanation of the Maimer Lo Tashbis Melach, to not negate salt on the karbanos. I will warn that the first paragraph or two is slightly complex, and with our limited time today, Baruch Hashem, we'll do our best. But it does get clearer. So whatever you understood or learned from the actual Maimer itself. So chapter 3 of Sefer Shel Beinanim, which is the first part of Tanya, Nisbar explains regarding the soul that the composition and makeup of the soul consists of 10 faculties, which these 10 faculties are reflective of the 10 spheres, the 10 faculties of Hashem to create the world. Thank you so much. Amen. So too in chapter 12 of Tanya, that the essence and being of the godly soul has 10 faculties, 10 levels. Now just a note how much the Alter Rebbe demands of you knowing Tanya Baal Peh in order to learn Torah or Likkutei Torah. Ach be'emes chaser sham. Now, Tanya Baal Peh doesn't only mean the word for word; it means the concepts. You have to know the concepts. Ach be'emes chaser sham. So now look at Alter Rebbe saying about his own sefer. That chaser sham, it's lacking there. Something's missing. And whoever wrote Tanya didn't explain that even the level of chachma, which is the beginning and first of all the faculties, it's the conception of the conceiving of all the subsequent faculties, is only and merely a vessel alone to be the recipient of the light of the essence of the soul and not the soul literally. For example, like the physical substance of the brain, which is only and merely a vessel for the power of intellect and wisdom, which is projecting from the soul. So he's comparing that the physical tool called brain is literally a channel and a receptacle to receive that light. So too, Chachma. Why is he choosing Dafka Chachma? Because the highest faculty, the most refined of all 10 spheres, even though it's the most refined, it's still only a vessel for something beyond it, something above it, which is the light which is an untailored light. So just like the physical brain is only and merely a receptacle for the light of intelligence from the soul, so too the light and intelligence of the soul is only and merely a vessel for the essence and being of the soul itself. That the essence and being of the soul cannot be limited or relegated or defined by seichel. Now this harps on a philosophical discussion, I believe, between maybe I think the Alter Rebbe touches upon it, between the Rambam and the Mekubalim, that what is the highest level of connection is Dafka Seichel, is Dafka wisdom, whereas the Mekubalim say no, wisdom itself, by definition, if it's wisdom, it is not Chesed, right? It's not Kvura, it's not Tiferes, it's not. So therefore, you cannot define Ein Sof by something. You cannot define Ein Sof by Seichel. Look in that mind. So basically saying that even though Seichel, Chachma, Bina, and Das, which that when we say Seichel in Chassidus, you're including Chachma, Bina, and Das, the triad of the three intellectual spheres, is only and merely a receptacle for the essence and being of the soul that obviously eclipses any of the spheres because the spheres themselves are particular. You cannot say that Seichel is the essence and being of the soul itself. Why not? So now he's defining what essence is as opposed to what projection is. Essence versus projection, essence versus revelation. Because seichel is only revelation. How do I know? Because it could be turned on and it could be turned off. As opposed to essence is always on. Sometimes your mind is very clear and open. Sometimes not. Sometimes you're very hazy. You're confused. You're befuddled by different things. Until sometimes you even speak shtusim. Yeah, words of vanity, words of folly. There are tremendous amounts of fluctuations, ups and downs, connection and detachment, right? The fact that you could say I'm connected or I'm detached, I'm clear or I'm unclear implies that it's not essential. It's not as essential as the essence of you. Therefore, you cannot say that the seichel is the essence of the soul literally, and you cannot limit or relegate the essence of the soul to only being one of the 10 spheres, that one of that the 10 spheres comprise of 3 intellectual, 7 emotional, or even to say that it's one reality, one existence, which is called intellect. But that intellect is only a vessel alone. And even the level of will, which does supersede the intelligence of the soul. It's the ratzon, it's the will, the desire. Or right? Remember what that's from? No, the Malachim were asking, how can you do this to Akiva, right? Remember? They were raking him with. Yeah. So they said, "Strike. This is my right." So what's the lashon? You have to know the lashon. Shteich kach Allah birtzoini, shteich kach Allah b'machshava. Right? Quiet. This is what arose within my will. Right? So what's he saying? While they were flaying him. And many other instances. So what's pshat shtoik? Just shut up? Hashem saying to you shut up? No. Shtoik means to say quiet. Quiet what? Quiet your intelligence. Quiet your rationale. Quiet the part of you that thinks you can get me or understand me with your seichel. Because kach Allah b'machshava, not Allah b'machshava, it arose within. It's Allah, it's higher than your machshava. Higher than your kach Allah b'rtzoynai, right? It arose within my will, meaning to say that the will, the desire of me is so much higher, is so much deeper, so much more sophisticated than your intellect. So therefore you have no choice but to shtoik. You have to turn that off, because at the end of the day, you cannot conceive or understand my thoughts. My Rabbi always used to tell me, like when he's teaching us a hard Gemara, he would always say, become an empty page. Just empty, receive. Shtoik. Gamke nikra. So we also call the ratzoin karkafta. Oy galgalta dechafya al moicha. Yeah? You heard the word karkafta? Yeah. Why did Lubavitch use the word karkafta? Rosh Hashanah, Daf, either Yud Zayin or Yiches. Okay. That's where it speaks about Karkafta D'Limanach Tefillin. You heard of Eli Stefansky? Yes. Yeah. So he quoted a whole. In his shir. In his shir, look up Daf Yud Zayin, Daf Yud Ches, wherever it is, and he quotes the whole thing about the Lubavitchers putting on tefillin, and they speak about the Karkafta, because the Gemara says a skull. Karkafta is a skull that has not laid tefillin, right? So whatever, but in the positive, that a skull that didn't lay tefillin and starts putting on tefillin, even one time. So in Kabbalah, the karkafta, the skull, is representative of the will, of the desire, of the ratzon, which hovers over, which envelops the seichel. Galgalta, the chafi al moicha, the skull, the cranium that hovers over the brain. Shu gam kein keli. So even though ratzon, right, shtoi kach ala b'machshava, ratzon is even deeper than seichel. Even that is only a vessel for the atzmis hanefesh. V'lachin anureim. Therefore, we see shaseichel hoylach mizgadol shatidik seichel katan b'yeser. וכשמסגדל מעט מעט, כך יתייסו הגדלס השיחלו בידייסו, וזיקניק תלמידי חכמים כל מה שמזכינין דייתם מסיישב וסחולי. Yeah, that we see that a child, right, it's interesting, the physical features of the brain in its growth and in its maturation causes growth and maturation in the emotional and mental experiences of the person. Right? To the point that when a person is a Talmud Chacham and he's a Zakein, right? He becomes extremely mature and wise. Daitan misyasheves, his das is settled. the settledness of the mind represents that there's no more maturation, there's no more growth, not in the negative sense, but in the positive sense that it can be totally one with itself. But what do we see though? What do we see? That at the end of the day, the fact that there is growth and fluctuation and high and low implies that it's only and merely a vessel for the deeper light of the essence and being of the soul, and you cannot limit the essence and being of the soul to that particular faculty. Surely you'll say that the neshama changed. The person is born with a neshama, and he's a child. So therefore, if he has a neshama at the age of 2 years old, why is his brain small? That's the proof that the neshama is not relegated or limited to the confines of seichel, and therefore is higher than seichel. Seichel is only a faculty, a force, a power that is a projection from the soul. And in order that there should be a transmission and an expression to a revealed way, you have to have a vessel to house that light. What's that vessel called? And what is he saying? Specific? No, not this called. The brain itself, in contrast to your hand, in contrast to your feet, in contrast to your ear. Those are not vessels for intelligence. Those are vessels to house the expression of intelligence. But the hand doesn't become smarter because it wrote an essay. The brain becomes smarter by reading and by learning. And there's an expansion there. But the hand doesn't become, there's no strengthening in the hand of intelligence. There's strengthening because you wrote a lot and you became a better writer, physically. But he's saying that you have to have a vessel that is appropriate, an appropriate home for the light of the neshama. What is that? That's called seichel. By function of the fact that a child is only a child, therefore what's illuminating, what's able to shine, only a very, very minuscule part of the soul. But the neshama itself, obviously the neshama is there enclosed in the being of that child from the conception of that child. We're just talking about the expression of that neshama is revealed more when the seichel grows. The essence and being of the soul, he chelik elika, is a godly portion, a portion of God, she'einoi begeder eser b'chinois, that it cannot be limited or defined by the 10 faculties, sheyesh lahen geder miyuchad, because each one has their own particular geder, their own particular categorization. Ela or pashut, rather, what is the soul in contrast to geder miyuchad, right? Is what? Or pashut, it's a simple light, a simple, undefined, uncomplicated, uncategorizable light. V'chein kasav agoyin Maharal mi Prague. The Maharal of Prague writes, that's all. V'hakdamasei l'sefer Gvuras Hashem. Daf Gimel Amud Gimel v'zel l'shoynei. Anybody want to look it up? Ve'ulai yoimru im ein atzmus seichel v'geshem v'chas b'shalom lo yimar alav im kein ma'u yisbarich. Perhaps one wants to say that if you cannot relegate or limit the essence and being to intellect and physicality, so lo yimar alav, you could possibly say im kein ma'u yisbarich. What is God? Nashiv lahem, you should reply to them. And can the neshama in the body, can you at all, how do you say? Lamed amitasa. Can you stand on its own truth, like Can you really probe? Can you really probe unto its depth? Probe unto its true truth? Kol shekain. If you can't probe into the depth of what the neshama is, and it's in your body, Kol shekain, the creator of everything. You can't even ascribe to him or subscribe unto him this question. This question doesn't even apply. Because no man can see me and live. What does that mean? No man can see me and live. It's not no man can see me. It's sight and me have no shaykh to each other. Right? Just like you can't use seichel to understand your soul, Okay? That the soul's essence is so beyond the limitations and the conditions of intellect, so to God, how much kosher can be kosher can be kol shein lishol alav kushya zois. You cannot ascribe to him this question even. And why is that? It's because the neshama at the end of the day is qualitatively higher than the essence of whatever seichel is. So now all of this is metaphorically applied to the divine worlds. If you're saying this about the 10 faculties in my own composition and personality and makeup, you're absolutely able to say this about the 10 spheres compared to the essence of the emanator, blessed be He, Hashem, the infinite light. And just like He is above, and so too it's down here below in the soul. Let us make man in our image and our likeness, the Kail and Neshama. That's obviously a reference to the Neshama, not only the Guf. Yeah, we have two OGs, right? Yeah. Prague, Shalom, back to back. Daf Tes, Daf Yud. Even the supreme wisdom of the world of Atzilus, is only and merely a vessel to the infinite light of Hashem. But you cannot limit, relegate, or condense God's essence and His being and His infinite light to Seichel. The famous line that he is divested from any complications. He's pashut, simple, not stupid. Simple. He's so the simplicity is divested from any complexity. Mashein came b'chinas chachma, which is not the case by chachma. Who eize mehus v'geder miyuchad, in which still has some type of unique categorization, unique description. And we say about God, you are wisdom, right? You are wise, but with an unfathomable wisdom. So the fact that we can even call God Ant Chakim, you are wise, is a hashpala ve'anava, is an extreme humility and lowering of His essence and being of the infinite simple light. And in that location, in that platform, he and his life forces, he and his garments become one, and not like the enclothing of the soul in the body. That the soul in the body does actually become affected by the fluctuations and the ups and downs of the body itself. And nevertheless, even though meaning to say, trying to say like this, that the faculties of Atzilus are even more woven and more intrinsically connected to the essentiality and infinite light of Hashem, much more than the way the 10 faculties in us is connected to the essence of the soul. It's much, much more. And nevertheless, as able, as refined, as sophisticated, those levels are, as we give the mashal all the time, the cups made out of water that are frozen, right? That's mamish, it's the same material. Nevertheless, urak keli, it's still only a vessel. It's not the essence. That which Rambam writes, that he is the knower, he's the knowledge, he's the known. And they agree with him, right? This is, by the way, a chidush of the Alter Rebbe in resolving how Chakira perceives Hashem in terms of he is the knower, the knowledge, and the known, versus what Kabbalah says, that how can you call him the knower, the knowledge, and the known? That is a limitation to his essence, which is Ein Sof. And that's why Kabbalah employs the terminology or Ein Sof, as opposed to Chakira, which employs the terminology that what is the highest aspect of godliness is Chachma, is Hamada Hu Hayadi V'Yoda. So what's the resolution? Very nice. Alter Rebbe says, they agree with him. They agree with him. Yes, the Rambam, you're correct. Yes, Jewish philosophers, you're correct. Only when you manufacture and distribute the infinite light after tzimtzum. After tzimtzum, the Eibishter takes on the role of Huamad Hoyedeh. Al de tzimtzum Rabbi b'kelim de Chabad. The Atzilus. Yes, in the world of Chabad, of Atzilus, once the kelim are fashioned to be able to receive the infinite light in a particular way, then you could say at that level, Hu Amad Hu Hayedeh, etc. But as it is, as God is within the essential role of light beyond any limitation, light beyond any definition, then you cannot call him Hu Hayedeh Hu Amad. That's a limitation to him, and that's the resolution. Ki hine be'akdama l'sefer Gvuras Hashem. Yeah, the Maral in the Hakdama to his Sefer Sham. Hisig legamri ay mashikosu aramam shu Amad chuli. וזה לשוני. אבל הוא יסברך שקורו רזל בשם הקדוש ברוך הוא, ולא נקרא השכל ברוך הוא. Why do we say that Hashem, meaning to say, the Maharal brings this in his Akdama, that you may want to incline towards the Chaykrim's perspective on God, that he is the intellect, he's the knowledge, the knower, and that which is being known. But at the end of the day, if that would be the truth, that's the true essentiality of God, at the end of the day, you would say that Hashem Seichel Baruch Hu, he's the intellect, blessed be He. Why do we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Because Kadosh at the end of the day is representing the Pshitus of Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu means that it's the God that I don't understand. If you say Seichel Baruch Hu, that means that there's a correlation between your Seichel and his Seichel. Between my Seichel and Einstein's Seichel, there's no comparison. But there is a comparison, because at the end of the day, he has a brain and I have a brain. Here, if we say Seichel Baruch Hu, you are limiting God to just being a brain and nothing beyond that. And therefore we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, something so pashut, huh? Yeah. But something so deep. Because at the end of the day, the truth of his essence, not, I'm going to use these words, not cannot be understood, but understanding is a poor description to try and understand the relationship between you and God. Because at the end of the day, it's like saying, can you see blue? I'm sorry, can you hear blue? Right? Can you hear blue? Blue is a color, and hearing is another faculty in which those two don't match.
Except for those people with
synesthesia, yeah. Why do we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Because he is removed. Kedusha implies the idea of removal, aloft, transcendent from anything physical and anything bodily. From all created beings. When you say something is Kedusha, that you're talking about something that is removed, that Hashem is divested from all complication. He is simplicity of all simplicity. And Ye'oyin Sham, look over there, however, if he kabbalah as Harizal, the Maharal wants to refute the Chaykrim. Yeah, he wants to refute the Chaykrim. At the end of the day, you cannot limit God to Seichel. The Harizal says no, they're both right. Why? In the essence of the infinite light itself, there is no possibility to describe the Chachma. Because Chachma and Asiya, the deepest, most profound wisdom, and literally a physical action, are literally the same. And by the way, that's the meditation when you daven and you say Kulam bechachma asisa. Not everything was made in wisdom, but rather Kulam, everything. Whether it's Chachma and the deepest, most profound experiences of Ein Sof and Asisa that you made, is all the same. It's mamish the same thing. And yes, from that vantage point, the words of the Maharal are absolutely correct. That's why it's called HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But what is the Rambam correct? That he's Hamadu once he chooses to invest his infinite light through the various concealments and condensations of that light into what we know as Chabad of Atzilus, once you have to say that he and his life force, he and his causations are one behind. That's when the Rambam is referring to Shua. As it says, you are wise, but with an unfathomable wisdom. But nevertheless, you're still wise. There's still some type of ascribing or description of you in some way. What's the tachlis of all of this? That at the end of the day, Chachma is only and merely a vessel for the infinite light, not the infinite light itself. Fast. Even though in Tanya it says that the neshama is drawn into Chachma, and in Chachma you will become the knower, the knowledge, and the known. This is chapter 2 in Tanya, like the son that is drawn from the brain of the father. And Chachma is only and merely a vessel, like we said above. Nevertheless, we say, even though Chachma is only a vessel, but it's nothing to cough at. It's still it's still a vessel for the infinite light itself, that is higher than Chachma. Like we said before, about the body or about the brain, that yes, the neshama is much deeper than your body and your brain, but your brain is the particular location in which the soul is able to express itself. Look at that Haggah, which is, by the way, quoted a lot in Likkutei Torah. Why do you think you give birth to something similar than you? Because at the end of the day, in the essence of being is in the seed, it's invested the essence of being of the person. The essence of who you are, the Yechidah Shebenefesh, is so much higher than Chachma. Ein bezer Chel Gimel Nasik Daf Kuf Mem Aleph on the base. Al Pas Vayipak Be'af V'Nish B'Schaim. Ein be'Shar something la Rechai Vital Chel Gimel Shar Beis Shar Kedusha la Rechai Vital Chel Gimel Shar Beis. Watch Yechidah Shar Sheme'ak. I'm not sure if possible. I'm not sure Look at all those places. Tachlis is saying that in the Yud Kei Vav Kei itself, Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina, Vav is Zah, and Hey is Malchus. But you have something called Koitze Shel Yud, the thorn, the little tag on the top of the Yud. That's reflective of the Ein Sof that is invested in Ak, in Adam Kadmon, that even precedes Chachma, which Adam Kadmon is, like we say. No, yes, Adam Kadmon is the tipa that contains not only the brain, but the whole body, that mimics and reflects the body of the Father, not only just the intellect. Okay, so that's at the end of the day. Yes, you're smart like your dad, but being smart like your dad doesn't reflect the truth of how intrinsically connected you are, in the sense that you are literally a reflection of the body. The body is being created, which the body is able to be a house really for the essence much greater than the intellect. Something like that.